We are enough here, so croeso bawb. Welcome to the meeting of the Democratic Services. I've been asked to chair this tonight, as I think most people know that Councillor Martin James is still not particularly well. So you're unfortunate to have me as a stand-in. Before we start, I'll go through the formal bit to welcome you to the multi-locational meeting of the Democratic Services Committee being held in the Sahawi Room at Penafra House and via Microsoft Teams on Thursday, the 11th of September 2025 at 5 p.m. The meeting is being live streamed. And sorry, I should have asked, we are being recorded now, I think. Yes?
Yes, we are, Chair.
Yeah. So the meeting is being live streamed and a recording will be made available to view on the Council's website, except for discussions involving confidential or exempt items. Therefore, the images and audio of those individuals present and or speaking will be publicly available to all by the recording on the Council's website. If members lose connection during the meeting, please make every effort to attempt to reconnect. However, the meeting will continue as long as it remains quorate. Committee services staff are available and will be able to assist you to reconnect if necessary. Any votes required will be taken via Microsoft Forms. Right, so that's the formalities done. Do we have apologies for absence, please? Oh, well, we have Councillor Julian Simmons, Councillor Woodland, Christine Forehead, Martin James and Lisa Phipps. Are there any others that anyone knows of?
Yeah, I have reported them, Chair. There's Councillor Jerry Mayer and Councillor Carl Thomas will be late.
Okay, thanks, Adrian. So there might be another couple of people who were mentioned earlier who are struggling to even to get home to join the meeting from home with the sound of it. I'm sure they'll join if and when they can. Right, so where are we? Declarations of interest, please. Any declarations from officers or members? I don't see any indications, so I assume that there aren't any. Item 3 is the Democratic Services Committee held on the 25th of November 2024. And we'll take the minutes for accuracy and then get a move around in a second. Need to catch up with my screen. Okay, so I'll just go through on page 1 of the minutes. Page 2. Page 3. And the meeting closed at 5:52. Are there any issues of accuracy on there, anyone?
I'll move the minutes, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Adrian. Can we have a seconder, please?
I'll second, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Okay, so the next item is item 4, the Audit Wales report, review scrutiny arrangements.
Sorry, Chair. Can we just take a vote on those minutes?
Oh, sorry. Yes, if you could. The form should be up on the screen. If you just for, against, or abstain if you weren't there. And to be honest, I don't think I was at the last one, so I might have to change my vote. Oh no, I was there. Okay. So we have 88% in favour and a couple of abstentions. Right, so we're okay now to go on to item 3. I think item 4, the Audit Wales report, review scrutiny arrangements. I think we should have Matthew Brushett and Rachel Harris from Audit Wales. And I understand that Rachel will provide the committee with a brief overview of the report, followed by our officers. And if you do have any questions, perhaps you could use the hands up button to indicate. Okay, so over to Rachel, I think.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy
Right.
to take you through the key points. Well, you have obviously in front of you the report from officers that summarises our report and our recommendations. So all I'm going to do is give you a little bit more context around some of our key findings from our main report, which is also part of your papers, of course. So as you'll see from the papers, our overall finding is that scrutiny in Caerphilly has limited impact. So let's unpack that a little bit. We'll explain to you hopefully how we came to that conclusion. In terms of our key findings, we found that the role of scrutiny is understood by officers and members, and that's a really positive starting point. But in certain areas, the custom and practice perhaps has diverged a little bit from what we'd all ideally like to see. For instance, while cabinet members regularly attend scrutiny committees, again that's a positive thing. The discussion though then tends to focus on officers who aren't really the people the scrutiny is supposed to be holding to account, are they? We also heard as part of our fieldwork that members are perhaps not all members are perhaps always as well prepared as they might be. And that obviously will naturally limit their ability to carry out their role, however well they understand it. So I think generally our findings here are that while the fundamentals are in place, there are a few areas that will really benefit from a little bit of sharpening up. And I think that's probably a theme through our other key findings as well. So if we go to our next key finding, which is around training and support, we found that members are offered training and support, but we couldn't say definitively that training was having the impact that the council wants it to. Because members, members receive training as part of their induction, but perhaps the training perhaps falls off a little bit after that initial sort of big bang. There's also a self-evaluation exercise, which is an opportunity for members. It takes place twice each electoral term, and that's a great opportunity for members to have some input into scrutiny generally, and and also the training and support that they've been provided with, because there are specific questions on that. But the response rate has really been quite low, albeit an improvement on previous years. So members are not taking that opportunity. So, and in terms of the training and development that is received, we heard some mixed views about that, I think. And I thought overall there's a risk that not all members are getting everything that they need, and that obviously again will impact their ability to scrutinise effectively. The next section of the report is about planning scrutiny activity and planning their work. And what we found was that members' involvement in that work planning is again limited. So the opportunities to get involved are somewhat limited. Members are able to suggest items for inclusion on the work programme. Not all the members we spoke to were aware of that, which was somewhat concerning to us. And whilst there are forums, there's a scrutiny leadership group, for example, which consists of the chairs and the vice chairs. We didn't see evidence that discussion around the strategic direction of the work programme, that sort of thing was happening. And we also heard from some members that they thought scrutiny was getting involved too late in the decision-making process. And just in general, what we found there could be characterised as a lack of buy-in, a lack of ownership from members. That sort of engagement and connection with their work programme just wasn't quite there. And so all of those issues combine to give us a situation where scrutiny is not having the impact that it could, perhaps should have. That's that's what we heard really from the people we spoke to at the council, and through our field work, the work that we've done, I think we recognise that view. I think the last section of the report there gets into some of the detail around why we think that might be. I think for us, the fundamental question for the council to ask itself now is, why is scrutiny looking at the things that it's looking at the point in time that it looks at them, and at the format that it's using? That is a challenge that we put to Caerphilly and indeed to other local authorities when we did work on scrutiny previously in 2018. And we didn't see it really coming back in 2024-25. We didn't see that there'd been a lot of progress or change in those areas, in terms of thinking about perhaps alternative methods of doing scrutiny. I'll move on to the next key finding, which is around public engagement. It is limited. Public engagement in scrutiny is limited. Again, Caerphilly is not alone in finding that to be a challenge. I think what we heard is that where there's an issue that people feel strongly about, they will turn up, and engage with that. And as with any report we do, is a sort of a snapshot really of a point in time. And at the point in time that we did our field work, the closure of Llancaich Fawr was a very fresh issue at that time. And so we saw for ourselves, yes, people will turn up if it's an issue that they feel strongly about. But if we stick with that as an example, I think what we saw from the people who did turn up to that meeting was there was a bit of a lack of understanding about what the process was and what they might realistically expect the impact to be. And so I think whilst people turning up to a meeting is fine as far as it goes, that's not necessarily the most productive way of getting public engagement in a more meaningful way. And we think probably some changes to the way scrutiny works and the way it engages with this work programme, the point at which it gets involved in specific topics, might help develop that role for scrutiny of amplifying the voice of the public. So the last section of the report is about evaluating the impact of scrutiny. And again, we found that is limited. What the council does is limited. And it hasn't and had not really changed since we previously made some challenges to the council in our work in 2018. What had changed, what was new, what has happened since that report is the self-evaluation. And whilst that's in form of a survey to members, and while that's a positive development, as we previously mentioned, the response rates are very low. And in any event, even if the response rate was very high, that's only going to show you part of the picture. For example, it's not going to give you a mechanism for gathering the views of the officers or the public or indeed other partners. So that is a very quick summary of our key findings. That's led us to make 5 recommendations to the council. Again, they're in both our report and the officer report that you've got in front of you. So I'm not going to read all of those out to you. You have but they're based on the key findings, and so you should hopefully find that they relate to what we've set out in the report. Now, you've also got in front of you the council's management response form. That's obviously for you to discuss with your officers, but before we hand over, I just need to let you know that having considered that response, Audit Wales are satisfied that the findings and recommendations have been properly considered. The responses are sufficiently specific, the timescales are clear and reasonable, and it's clear who's responsible for the actions set out, which is so therefore it meets our requirement under the Code of Audit Practice. So I don't, do you want, I can see some hands up. I don't know if you want to the chair through you. Happy to take questions. I think you're on mute.
You're on mute.
My usual trick, I'm sorry. Diolch yn fawr, Rachel. Lisa, I don't know if you want to add anything before I bring members in.
Chair, just briefly really, in terms of the action plan that is attached to Appendix 3, as Rachel mentioned, we agreed with the report, and the management response sets out our proposals to address the issues. And we thought it was useful for members to have the action plan attached to the report, which is at Appendix 3, and perhaps then to supplement the information Rachel has provided. I thought I may just go through the recommendations briefly and outline the work proposed and the actions taken to date. So in terms of recommendation 1, the roles and responsibilities, members will be aware that the Good Scrutiny Guides and WLGA workbooks were circulated to members in July. The trialling of holding of the pre-meetings the day before scrutiny is in progress. Members will note that the proposal is for Corporate and Region Scrutiny Committee to stay the same, i.e. The pre-meeting will be before the actual meeting, so that we can measure the effectiveness of holding the meetings the day before as opposed to holding them just prior to the meeting. In addition, chairs will continue to be assisted by the scrutiny officer to ensure questions are directed to the cabinet member. This will also be discussed at the scrutiny leadership groups going forward. Members will also be aware that the training outlined has been arranged for the 7th of October. In terms of recommendation 2, support and training, a refresher training session on the terms of reference will be held for the scrutiny committees in the September and October scrutiny meetings, and the scrutiny leadership group will also regularly review the report content and quality of the report at its meetings. Turning now to recommendation 3 on work planning, Democratic Services are working with communications officers to review and refresh the intranet pages for members with the aim to establish a dashboard for forward work programmes. And officers will again reinforce the opportunities for forward work programming at every meeting. In terms of engaging with the public, the plan is to actively promote scrutiny meetings and increase its presence on the council website and social media platforms. And in terms of evaluating the impact at recommendation 5, a database has been established and is being populated following each meeting as outlined in the action response. The survey process as outlined will also be implemented at the next evaluation run date, and the scrutiny leadership group and workshops will also be utilised to gain members' perspective on the effectiveness of the scrutiny process. Chair, I'll just check with my colleague Emma Sullivan to see if she wanted to add anything or whether I covered
Diolch, Lisa. Just to clarify, you're talking from page 37 onwards, yeah?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, okay, just to make sure everyone's on the same page, as it were.
Yeah, that's right, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, through you. Comms colleagues have informed me today that I will be sending a link probably by the end of next week to members, which will show a way into the new intranet portal on scrutiny. The plan is that you will have a dashboard there that will contain the Scrutiny Committee Forward Work Programmes, the Cabinet Forward Work Programme, plus links into the performance objectives and key service objectives so that members can link corporate performance, corporate objectives in with forward work programming at both the scrutiny and a cabinet level. I am aiming to have the provisional look to members by the end of next week so they can take a look at the new intranet setup. If they're happy with it, if they're not happy with it, what tweaks we can make, how we can further enhance it for ease of use. The trial of pre-meetings, as Lisa has said, 27th of October for Housing and Environment, 24th of November for Education Social Services, for the training. That training will be set up into 2 sessions. The first half we will refresh on terms of reference. The second half we've invited executive directors and heads of service to, where we'll look at forward work programming, fleshing that out, getting members' views on topics, when they want to see things and how they want to see things. The scrutiny specific training, we've engaged Dave McGrath from Link UK. Members will know Dave McGrath really well. He's one of our preferred providers of training. He's worked with this authority for numerous years. He's always provided excellent tailored specific training around areas, so I can imagine that session will be extremely informative and well worth attending. Scrutiny Leadership Group, as Lisa said, 6th of October, the invitations have gone out. We'll look to do that. I'm trying to work my way through. In terms of public engagement, I'm currently working with Comms and IT about enhancing web pages, interlinking scrutiny with as many as we can. Caerphilly Conversation will now have a direct link to scrutiny. Our scrutiny, guide to scrutiny, we're going to link all committee pages back to scrutiny, so it will form a 360-degree accessibility for the public to get involved in scrutiny. Members may be aware we've recently changed our webcasting platform to YouTube, so hopefully that will get us some more views, some more public interest, some more social media interaction. Evaluating the impact, as Lisa said, I've developed a database which will contain much more qualitative rather than just quantitative information, so that will be shared with Scrutiny Leadership Group, so they can use that to push scrutiny forward into the future. That's it from me, Chair.
Okay, they're all coming up. There are 2 hands up. I'm not sure who went first, so either Judith or Adrian. And Andrew, sorry.
Judith, you happy for me to go first?
Yeah, do you want me to go first? Yes, well, I think Rachel mentioned lack of ownership, and you're right, because actually members are extremely busy people. We have to prioritise, and a lot of members, well, some members anyway, don't want to be on scrutiny at all because they want to be in decision-making capacity, not in what they consider to be rather irrelevant, just saying what they think about the decisions, but not in control, because our constituents don't understand that, and they expect us to get results. And frankly, you don't get elected at the next election because you've been fulfilled all your obligations to scrutiny committee. This is a kind of rather artificial thing that has been invented. I remember the old system where it was done by committees, and then the chair of committee had a lot of influence, but then the government decided they were going to institute cabinet, the present system of cabinets rule, and then scrutiny for the other members. And a lot of members have never really accepted that. It's not a good system to be asking people to spend time when you're really, really busy. If you read your members' handbook, and it gives you a list of all the things you're supposed to do, it's an impossible task. I mean, you're expected to communicate with your residents. Some residents will come to you, but really you need to communicate with them, for instance, with the local development plan. Very important. My colleague and I did a lot of communication in our ward, but it takes a tremendous amount of time and effort. And it's just, you're expected to support local groups. For instance, I'm treasurer of 2 community halls. That takes up quite a lot of time. I'm a member of LICE, so I've been a member of the Community Health Council for a long time because I'm interested in health, and that gives me a perspective then when I am in council meetings. I'm also a member of the Older People's Forum, 50+ forum, I think, because I'm old, and then I can give the perspective of older people, and we're mostly school governors, so we want to do our bit education and our schools, and you know, I know you've got your job to do, but
Yeah,
we've got our
totally.
job to do, and it's very difficult. And so we're being accused now of not reading reports before the meetings. Well, some of us don't. I mean, I usually do, but I skip through it, some of it, because some of it's not very relevant. And to suggest that we're going to have pre-meetings a day before, yet another meeting, well, I'm afraid to say I don't agree with that at all. I do try and get to the pre-meeting at 4 o'clock, but I certainly would very much resent having to go to another meeting the day before the scrutiny committee.
Sorry, Julie, if I can butt in a minute, I think we tried this idea of having meetings on the day before previously, and it didn't work. Is that correct?
Well, I can't remember that, but I would imagine that was the case. Yes.
I think you've illustrated the fact very well that we're all very busy people. So.
Yeah, but then I do want to say another thing, which is I'm sorry, I don't know how to split screens, and I forgot. I usually use my iPad as a monitor, but I forgot because I've been very busy. And I could be out there now doing other work, but I'm not. I'm here. Anyway, the one thing I do want to sign up, which you have mentioned, I think 29 to 30, was the merging of the Education and Social Services Committee. And you had some criticism of that. And I think that was a pretty important decision, which was wrong, because many members are interested in education. Not many members are that interested in social services, and it affected the choice of the members who are on the committees. And one of the reasons why social services is not treated, as you mentioned, it's a third of the council's budget, doesn't get much airing, is because some of the members who were interested in social services, such as myself, were not able to be on that committee. I had to change committees, and I'm now on housing. I'm quite interested in housing as well. But, I did have a lot of experience and a bit of expertise in social services, but I really am rather excluded because other people were more interested in education and desperate to get on the committee. So I think that was a big mistake. I think that's about it, really. But the other thing is a lack of sensitivity of officers when it comes to planning the work. We do need more time to read these reports. We get them, I don't know, about Wednesday or something before the Tuesday. But you've got to remember that some members have got full-time jobs. Many members have got full-time jobs. They've got families. They may have elderly people to see to at the weekend. And life is really made very difficult. So if we could have the more time before the meetings to read the reports, then you might get a better result. And the other thing is lack of sensitivity of officers when it comes to planning these terms of reference training sessions. For instance, you've got, I think, terms of reference is going to be in September, October. Well, aren't you aware that we've got a very important by-election on October the 23rd, totally unexpected, and we're all working flat out, and we're expected to stop canvassing, stop giving out our leaflets, to come to some training session. We could have the training session in November. Okay, I like training, but it seems that our convenience and our well-being as members is really ignored. You've got to go by the book. You've got to do this, that, and the other. And who's in charge here? Is it members or is it officers? Thank you.
Thanks, Julia. That was a pretty comprehensive response to what's going on. Maybe either Emma or Lisa could answer the one point you made. I don't know whether these dates were fixed before sort of recent happenings and the calling of a by-election, and it may be that we will need to reconsider some of the dates that have been fixed, recognising the situation that members are in. Can we leave that with you, folks?
Yes, Chair, that's no problem at all. The dates were fixed before the recent events.
Yeah.
We had made arrangements, and already we postponed the training that was due for education. we can look at some alternatives to give members more time.
Okay.
What's happening at the moment, we'll look to reschedule the training.
Well, we'll leave that in your very capable hands, Emma.
Yeah, no problem.
And Andrew, your hand is not up now. Did it come down?
No, it didn't come down at all. It's still there, I think. Chair.
It's not there, but I realised it was up before.
Yeah.
Carry on anyway.
Okay. Couple of points about pre-meetings at scrutiny committees. I chair Housing and Environment, which I'm due to do on Tuesday. The one thing that always disappoints me is I can practically guarantee which members will be there. I know who's going to be there. I know who's going to ask questions. I know who's going to make points. Julia's one of them, Major's another, who will always attend. But the vast majority of members do not attend pre-scrutiny. And that's regardless of which political party you're in, but the vast majority of members do not attend the pre-scrutiny meetings. So when it comes to the debate in the chamber, very often that debate is skewed by what people want to ask in their platform, not what they've asked in pre-scrutiny. And then the pre-scrutiny process and the pre-scrutiny meetings is basically to tease out a line of thought to ask the officers. I always get criticised because I always say we're looking at the whole authority, not your own ward. And yet I guarantee if you're not in pre-scrutiny, when we get the full committee, it'll be Mrs. Jones in number 35 has this problem. That is not what scrutiny is for. Secondly is public engagement. Now I've chaired Housing and Environment, I've been vice chair of planning, and I've chaired a joint scrutiny meeting. The only time we get people in the chamber who wish to contribute to the meeting, again, all right, I'm fairly criticising by telling them not to clap and not to cheer, on specific one-item issues. And therefore, I think those one-item issues ought to be excluded from scrutiny and debated on a separate basis because they are one-item issues. You know, if your leisure centre is shutting in your village, that is not something that scrutiny should consider. That should be something for full council. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Andrew. I've got Greg up now. Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Colin. Good evening, all. I was on those initial meetings with the audit committee, and I recognise a lot of the comments that were made. So it might come as no surprise to other members that I completely agree with all 5 of the Audit Wales report. If anything, it doesn't go far enough, in my opinion. Look, I'm a new councillor, okay? I've been here for 3 years now, and I'm still finding it an incredibly steep learning curve, the role of councillor. I don't think there's anywhere near enough help and assistance provided to us as members. Our jobs are very, very difficult, and I have to say the council doesn't help it by making all of the procedures, documents, etc. incredibly complex. First of all, I want to talk a bit about accessibility to documents. They're not accessible. The font size is far too small. Judith has a major visual impairment. She needs reading aids to read the reports. These reports are not accessible for people with visual impairments. Secondly, the reports are often really dense, full of jargon, heavy, run to hundreds of pages. They're not formatted well. There's no diagrams, there's no graphs, there's no visual aids to help us. So I really think that the officers need to look at the content of their reports and improve the way that they're written and how the accessibility standards of them. Plain language summaries would help, fully spelling out acronyms would help, and things like that. Secondly, we don't have enough time. We have insufficient time to read and prepare ourselves for the role of scrutiny. We have documents are sent out less than 7 days on average. I work full time. I rarely get a chance to look at the documents until the day before. I do my best. When you're presented with up to 6 to 7 papers, some of which are hundreds of pages in length, you're not going to be able to fulfill the role of scrutiny very well at all. What does that mean? Well, that means we don't have a good quality debate at scrutiny committees, like Andrew said. Members are unprepared, they're ill-informed, They don't know the detail of the reports, and therefore they're underprepared and they can't contribute to a high quality debate. And that's bad for democracy ultimately. It's bad for the people of this county, and it's bad for ourselves and our electors. I think the processes, I struggle with the understanding of the timing and the organisation of meetings, for example. This week, it's the first week back after August, and we had 3 committee meetings this week. I've had the joint scrutiny on Monday, which was cancelled, the meeting yesterday, and today's democratic services. They're on 6 weekly cycles. How can all 3 be scheduled in three consecutive in the same week? I do think there needs to be a better spacing of meetings so that members can balance those with full-time jobs and other roles that many of us have. I think the training that I went on wasn't particularly informative and useful, and it was a one-off. I haven't been on more training since. I think there needs to be more often, more regular training, and we need to be asked what we want from the training and how we want it delivered. I think there was a guy that, you know, stood up and talked for an hour. Well, how about providing some multi-visual aids and documents before the training that we can all sort of prepare ourselves for? Look, you know, I could go on, and I don't want to be really, really negative, but I really think that there could be a lot more done to make it, the scrutiny process for us councillors, easier. And I think the major thing is about making those documents much more plain language, you know, making them easier, larger font, easier to read, easier to understand, so that then we perform our job better and the council becomes better at democracy and serving our public. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Before we get any more comments, do any of the officers wish to respond, either Rachel or our officer?
Chair, I can come in if you want from a committee services and a scrutiny perspective, if that would help.
Okay, fine.
In terms of accessibility, there is an awful lot that we can do to assist with that. We can get IT, I think Councillor Pritchard already has enhancements to a screen using different colours, different sizes of cursor. The PDFs that are released to you are read enabled, so you can have the reports read out to you rather than you reading them yourselves. They're all read enabled. I would be more than happy to organise a session with members to take them through how they can use the read aloud function. The PDFs are also zoomable, so you can zoom in and zoom out and find a font that you're happy with. We've always worked extensively with members, particularly those who have dyslexia or other assisted learning needs, where we provide report packs on different colours using a yellow background paper. So I am quite disappointed that members feel that they aren't supported by committee services. We can certainly look at the timing of meetings. We produce a calendar on an annual basis, which is released 12 months in advance to show the timetable coming up, to try and give members who work and have caring responsibilities as much notice as possible. Obviously, we can't mitigate for all factors in that timetabling. Democratic Services is operated on an ad hoc basis. It's normally run when issues come forward. Planning is run on a 4-weekly basis because it is very structured around statutory consultation and decision-making deadlines. Scrutiny is run on a 6-weekly basis, as in Council. We try our best to fit those in, so there are gaps in between. We do appreciate and do value that there are many, many constraints on members' time. We know that you have numerous hats that you have to put on and off, and we do our utmost best to ensure that we can provide you with as much help and support that you need in order to do the job when you have your committee hat on. I would welcome calls as Democratic Services Manager for committee services. Any member struggling with any format of any report, if they want to speak to me, I will do my utmost to find a format to them that will help them in their working day. It's one of the roles of my job. It's something that I am very privileged and happy to do. In terms of training, if I send an evaluation questionnaire out to members every twice per council term, asking them what training they want, how we can provide it, what format they want. I'd be more than happy to circulate that again for us to reanalyse our training, to have a look at what we can do. I try and always base the next training session on the feedback from the previous training session. Where members have stated they particularly enjoy a trainer or a way this training has been delivered, I will use that trainer again. I will ask him to deliver and tailor the sessions so that it's not generic, it's specific to Caerphilly. One of our trainers will utilise webcasts of our meetings, present those to members, ask members how they want to improve, how they viewed themselves in that, what actions they want to take. So a lot of what we do is very much tailored, but I'm always welcome any comments, any ways we can improve that. I'd more than welcome it. In terms of report writing, composition, the use of acronyms, that is a little bit beyond my control, but I can certainly go back to ELT and report authors and use the scrutiny leadership group to review the content of reports, to look at how they're currently being written, to understand what members feel about them, use that to feed back to ELT, to the executive leadership team, and try and get report authors, take that on board and improve report writing going forward. That's it from me.
Okay,
But, you know, happy to take any further questions.
thanks. Emma, I don't know if it's been designed like that, but neither of you are actually on screen at the moment. All we're seeing is empty seats.
Do apologise.
Normally the whole table is on there, isn't it?
Yeah, I probably need to move a little more. The camera is motion activated and I've probably been very still.
Oh, there we are. Jump up and down and do something. Right. I put my own hand up to remind myself I wanted to make a comment, but Judith or Greg, have you... Judah wants to come in now as well. Is it on the responses, Judah?
Oh, well, it's on
I want to make comment on the allegations that our democratic services are not up to standard. Emma, could I ask a question? How many members come to your department for advice? I give the answer if it's embarrassing. Hardly anyone.
Not many.
If I want a question, I go to your department and I advise this to new members. If you want any information, if you're not happy, go to the Democratic Services. So that allegation and they're not doing their jobs, the members are not doing their jobs. If they got an issue, as you already said, you were there to give advice and to take notice of any criticism at that level. So for members to accuse your department and not up to it is an insult. And there should be an apology made today from that member.
I never made an
accusation. I don't think it was meant in the way that you're saying on the screen.
It was. No member should be accused of anything at these meetings.
I'm going to give the members a chance to come back in, so we'll find out now. Judith, you indicated first.
Yes,
If you bring him back in, I will go away for 5 minutes. I'd want to hear him again.
Chair, you haven't welcomed me back in. You've welcomed members of your own party back in, not me.
Sorry, Andrew. Again, I'm looking here. I don't see your. There must be a problem with the function on your machine.
No, Chair. You've invited Councillor Pritchard and Councillor Eade back in, right? You have not invited me back in.
Unfortunately, Andrew, it's not showing on my screen. It's
No, Councillor Mann. You've invited 2 previous speakers back in. I was a previous speaker. You have not invited myself.
The 2 people I've invited in are the 2 people I've got indications. Is your hand up?
You don't have to have indications, Chair. You're inviting people who've made comments in previous items. You don't have to put a hand up. No, chair the meeting, Councillor Mann, please.
I am chairing the meeting, Andrew. Do you want to come back in?
Yes, I agree with Councillor Davis. I mean, I've never had anything but support from committee services. You know, for Councillor Eade to say, I'm a new councillor. He's been a councillor 3 years. I was the vice chair by the time I'd been a councillor, and the help and guidance I received from committee service is exemplary. I will not have anything said about committee services. And for councillor, you've been a councillor 3 years. Then you either get with the programme or get out.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Andrew. I'll now ask you to come back in. You want to come back on some of these things?
Yes, I mean, I was on my screen, my hand was up with 1 and Tudor Davis's hand was up with 2. So, and he was put for before me, so I don't quite know where we are. I don't mind that at all. Anyway, can I say I have no complaints about...
Point of order, Chairman, with all due respect. Members are allowed to speak once at a meeting on an item. And as far as I'm concerned, the ones who have already spoken...
I'm sorry, this is one of the problems, Tudor, with scrutiny. It is being curtailed. And that is not one of the rules of scrutiny. And this is not a scrutiny committee. It's democratic services. And previously, members have actually made a contribution more than once, which I'm going to allow.
You're just defending certain members.
I am allowing people to come back in, which I've done with yourself.
All right.
Right. Well, can I clarify then? This is a point of clarification. I have no complaint about member services, about things like helping me to see the screen, because I know how to do that. I mean, I found out anyway, or I've been told by my colleague who's very good at IT, how to do high contrast, which I do, how to make the print bigger. And I must say that using IT, using computers, is marvelous for people with any kind of disability, because you can get round, you know, your situation. I mean, the criticism I did have was about the timing of the training sessions. You know, in the context that we're in at the moment, with the very, very well, unfortunate by-election.
I think that's been answered, Judy, hasn't it?
But I think that has been answered, yeah. But I wouldn't want people to think that I was criticising them in any other way. I'm not. If I needed help, I could, you know, I know it's there, and I have had help from the members' services IT, like Michelle Riley and Mark Cooper. When I've tried to get through to, for instance, health service seminars and haven't been able to, they've been splendid. So, you know, it's just the timing of the insensitivity as regards timing of the training sessions, and also the pre-meetings. And I think we more or less agreed with having a pre-meeting on the day before is not a satisfactory solution.
Thanks, Judith. Greg, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, look, in the light
First thing, Mr. Chairman, ask him to apologise to the officers.
Well, you just jumped in. That's exactly what I was going to do. I was going to offer an unconditional apology to the 2 officers present. In no way was what I was saying reflective of them or their services as individuals. It's an excellent... My points were rather about the content of the reports we receive that prevent us performing our role as scrutiny, and also the timing of the reports. I think it's a genuine fact that we don't have enough time to read through reports. Maybe members who are retired have more time on their hands, are able to do that. Personally, myself, juggling a job, a family, and lots of other commitments, under 7 days is not long enough. So I think that's a valid point to raise. Some of the other points that are made about accessibility and plain language and the lack of the jargon, I think, are valid points to raise. I'm happy to put them down in writing, but you're absolutely right to call me out on it, and I do apologise. I didn't mean to be critical of Emma or Lisa. They do an excellent job. So an unreserved apology.
Okay, thank you, Greg. I note again in the chat that there are several endorsements in favour of democratic services, which I would support myself. I mean, I've always had excellent service, but it was about some of the reports, and democratic services don't actually write the reports most of the time. They come from all sorts of different places, and reports can be very, very long. Emma, you mentioned the read only. I noticed there. I've never used it. I'm not quite sure how quickly the reports are read out. But obviously, if there's 100 pages of report, however quickly it's read, it's still going to take a long time whether you read it yourself or other people. But I think it is there, and it's appreciated for those who wish to use it. Can I make a couple of points? I think one of the worrying things in this report is that we don't seem to have moved on in the last 7 years. Now, it would have been expected that we would have done. And there is this, there's another mention of the fact that officers are answering questions too much from members. Well, I have asked questions of cabinet members, and they've been promptly passed on to relevant officers. So even when you ask a member, an elected member, for an answer, you don't always get one from that member. You often get them from officers. But I don't know whether, Rachel, you want to come back on to how you feel we should make, or we should have actually made more progress since 2018, because it's a long time not to make any, isn't it?
Thank you, Chair. I think if we felt that you had made no progress since 2018, we would have written a report that said you've made no progress since 2018.
No, you did say limited, didn't it? Sorry.
Yeah, so I think whilst and we also acknowledge that there's been an election and a pandemic, and and lots of things have happened between the time we were here last year and our previous work and this particular piece of work. So we wouldn't want to characterise that as nothing has changed, nothing has happened. But there are, as you can see in the report, there are some areas where we are giving you a very similar message to the message that we gave you in 2018, and so we're giving you that message slightly, a little bit more louder, a little more pointedly, perhaps this time, to try and make sure that message is landing. But I wouldn't want to characterise that as nothing has changed and nothing has happened. The introduction of the self-evaluation survey would be, an example of something that has changed. But for whatever reason, it's not. There's lots of things that are happening in the council that are really positive. You've got lots of, quite the fundamental building blocks are more or less in place, but there are just, for whatever reason, which is really for you as a council to work out with officers and members together, for whatever reason, there are a few points in which those things are not quite clicking together for you. And that's, I think, the spirit in which we've given you those recommendations.
Okay, thanks, Rachel. I don't know if either of the officers wanted to comment before we carry on.
Yeah, just Councillor Mann, I would say that the Scrutiny Leadership Group will play a pivotal role in gelling all these recommendations together, and obviously taking on board members' comments this evening, particularly around pre-meetings, pre-meeting attendance, the report content. So I think there's lots of food for thought for the Scrutiny Leadership Group, together with officers going forward, to discuss and iron out and improve the service and the process where we can, really. So it's been a useful discussion to hear members' views this evening, to be able to take forward along with the action plan and the Audit Wales report going forward.
Okay, thanks. Could I also agree with a couple of the comments that Andrew made? Certainly the committees I've been on, there is a very limited number of members who actually make any sort of a proper contribution, and there are often quite a few members missing. So it is obvious that a lot of our members are just not buying into scrutiny, and that's recognising the fact that we can't all get to all meetings all the time for all the other commitments that were outlined earlier. But I think maybe there should be more commitment from a number of members to actually take more part. But people have got to feel it's valuable, and if they don't think it's worth their while taking part, they're not going to bother to turn up. And I think maybe that is part of the problem. They wonder what they're achieving by going to these scrutiny committees and spending an hour or a couple of hours doing it if things aren't going to go on. I mean, we had an instance not long back where the majority of non-cabinet members, the vast majority, voted on the library closure situation, and a couple of days later, cabinet just totally ignored it. It doesn't exactly.
Point of order, Chair. That's a political point, not for this
Well, it's
meeting.
A point of fact, Andrew.
No, it's
cabinet totally.
Chair, you are making a political point. I chaired that meeting, and I know exactly how the votes went. You are now making a political point.
Are you
Because
saying that the majority of members didn't, Andrew?
Your party opposed it, and it's you making a political point, not contributing to this debate on democratic services. And I wish that to be recorded. Thank you, Chair.
Are you saying that what I said is incorrect?
It's the wrong place to discuss it.
Well, there we are.
But the majority in Labour.
Oh,
So
come
they're
on,
not,
Mr.
it's
Chairman.
not a political point.
We
Well,
just-
Okay,
Chairman,
I'll go on to something else.
Not prior council
could I-
meetings. And I have the
could I-
support of Councillor Davis here. You are making a political point, which is not the purpose of this meeting.
I'll say I think I made a point of fact, and I'll leave it at that. Can I just ask about joint scrutiny? Rachel, do you have any views on joint scrutiny? There is a feeling amongst some of us that the committees are far too big, and the individuals don't really get much opportunity to get a meaningful input, because you're very limited in the number of questions you can ask, and with the number of people in there, you know, there is a question over the value of that particular process.
I think what I would say to you there, Chair, is that Audit Wales does not have a view on any particular shape or type of scrutiny. And I think that brings us back to some of the points that we make in the report about alternative methods of scrutiny activity. As some of you may be probably aware, the legislation is really not very prescriptive about how you do scrutiny. All it says is you have to have one committee, and it has to meet once a year, I think, something like that. But you know, most councils, most local authorities have settled into a situation much like you have in Caerphilly, where there's sort of 3 to 5 committees, and they meet sort of 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. But there's really no need to do it like that. You can do scrutiny anywhere you want. You can have joint committees. You can have an arrangement where everybody who isn't an executive member has a seat on scrutiny. You can have an arrangement where a much smaller number of people have a seat on a scrutiny committee. You could have an arrangement where you only have a committee meeting that meets very rarely, and then the rest of the scrutiny activity is done by sort of task and finish type group. So it is absolute. The way in which you conduct your scrutiny activity is absolutely within your gift, providing it is, of course, in line with the legislation, and your officers will be more than qualified to advise you on that.
Okay, thanks. I think most members would agree that there is more, certainly far more respect, if that's the right word, of task and finish groups. There's more buy-in to those than the normal scrutiny process. I don't know if anyone would disagree with that. I don't think so. Lisa, you want to come in?
Only just to mention, Chair, that the report from Audit Wales on Joint Scrutiny Committee, it was felt it was well regarded by officers and members as an effective forum. So I just wanted to add that context there from the report.
Okay, fine. Let's say we don't all agree with that, but there we are. Are there any other points from anyone, please? If not, the recommendation at 3.1 is that we review and note the report. I think we've certainly reviewed it. I hope we have anyway. The report as presented by Audit Wales. After all that discussion, we haven't got a vote on the item. So thanks, members. We'll go on to the number 5, which is the annual report for democratic services, and call on Lisa to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to present to the committee with the annual report, which sets out the services and support provided to members in the preceding year by the Democratic Services team. So the support varies throughout the team and includes committee services, member training and development, support in the scrutiny function, the Cabinet and Civic Office support, together with general procedural and administrative assistance to all members. In terms of the committee services function, members will note that 140 meetings have been arranged during the reporting period, which involves the publication of agendas, decision notices, minute taking and live streaming of the meeting. Members will also be aware we hold our meetings on a multi-locational basis, so we facilitate a room in Penalty House and members on Teams. Members will also note the support provided to informal committees, which I won't run through, but they are set out in paragraph 4 of the report. In terms of live streaming, Emma mentioned previously that we have moved to utilising the Council's YouTube channel to webcast our meetings live, with Planning Committee live streamed last night, which went well. The service has also provided a training and development programme to members, as endorsed by the committee, and the training provided is set out in detail in paragraph 5.9 of the report. In addition to the training, there were 12 member seminars supported, the majority of which were held on Teams, with topics including treasury management, homelessness and members' safety and security. And most seminars have seen a 45% attendance rate. The scrutiny function and the meetings held for scrutiny are set out in detail in the report, and there have been a total of 26 scrutiny meetings and 8 joint scrutiny meetings facilitated during the past year. And as I say, the detailed breakdown of the topics discussed are set out from paragraph 5.12 in the report. In addition, a member working group was also held on shaping the waste strategy, which met a total of 11 times and was supported at the time by the scrutiny manager and the scrutiny officer. Members will also be aware of the civic office duties with support provided by officers to the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor during the preceding year, together with the support provided by the PAs to the Leader and the Cabinet as outlined in the report. Members will also see that the Democratic Services team provides support and hosts the meetings of the Gwent Police and Crime Panel. Finally, Chair, I would mention that the structure of the Democratic Services team changed towards the end of this reporting year following the retirement of the Scrutiny Manager, and the new structure is set out in Appendix 2 of the report. Chair, I don't propose to go in any further detail, but I'm more than happy to take any questions.
Okay, I don't see any indication so far. Andrew, I'm just checking whether you raised your hand, which is not showing here. No? Oh, Judith is now indicating.
I haven't raised my hand. I'm more than happy with the report, Chair.
No, I was just checking whether you had or not, because it doesn't seem to be showing up on here. Judith.
Yes, I was a member of the Waste Management Task and Finish, and it was really interesting, and I thought that was very successful. And I think we should have more Task and Finish groups, because people do get stuck in. They get a lot more information than you'd get in ordinary scrutiny, and the engagement, and it was non-political, the engagement was very good. So I would recommend that we have more Task and Finish groups.
I would
Okay,
agree.
thanks, Judith.
I would agree
Anyone
with
else?
you.
No, so
Oh, sorry, Chair. Is my hand
okay, oh,
up?
Lisa, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I would agree with the request by Councillor Pritchard for more Task and Finish groups. But my request would be that they don't take place during the day, because I work full time. So it's really difficult for me to attend those groups, and I would have been particularly interested to join the Waste Task and Finish group, but I just couldn't because of the time of the meetings, unfortunately.
Thanks, Lisa. I think we've had surveys before on best time to hold meetings, and of course it splits between people who are working and not working. But I don't know. Would you suggest sort of late afternoon, maybe? Would that sort of enable you to take part? I mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, I struggle. I couldn't chair this meeting tonight because I didn't finish work until 5:30. But anything that's out of work time would suit me. But I understand that's not suitable for everyone. So, but I just thought I'd put my point across.
Okay, it is a difficult balancing act, isn't it? Because whatever day you choose, it doesn't suit everyone. Any other points, anyone? I don't see any hands up. Okay, so the recommendation is that the committee notes the contents of the report and provides any comments, which you've done, and we have no vote again. So the next one is item 6, which is the consultation on extending the duty of local authorities to broadcast meetings. Back to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, the purpose of this report is to seek members' views on the Welsh Government consultation to extend the duties on local authorities to live stream meetings. Currently, the legislation provides that only meetings of full council have to be live streamed. Members will note there's reference to changes to the Fire and Rescue Authority and the NPAs to broadcast their meetings, but in particular for local authorities, it is seeking views on extending the live streaming requirement to a number of meetings. So it would be democratic services, governance and audit, licensing, planning, scrutiny committees, standards and cabinet. They're also seeking comments on the retention period. Members will of course be aware we adopted a multi-locational meetings policy back in 2022, and members endorsed the proposal that we would live stream all meetings with the exception of exempt items. If for any reason the broadcast fails, then we use a recording via Teams and upload the meeting recording afterwards. So currently we do live stream all meetings, but there is that leeway if we're unable to live stream for some reason or unable to access the equipment due to work's been undertaken, then we just simply record and upload. In addition to seeking members' views on whether it should be a requirement to live stream those meetings, Welsh Government are also seeking views on the retention period. Our previous contract with a third-party provider made webcasts available for 18 months. Now that the contract has ended, we retain those recordings on a storage device, but we also, as a fallback position, record each meeting on Teams. So if a live stream meeting did fail, we're able to upload that version of the meeting. So in outline, really, Welsh Government are asking if members feel that live streaming of those meetings mentioned should indeed be compulsory rather than on a sort of voluntary case-by-case basis as local authorities currently do across Wales. I would just mention we do live stream via YouTube now, which is a change to our previous way of recording meetings. I'm happy to take any comments back so that we can feed back members' views to Welsh Government by the deadline set now in November. The deadline was extended from October to November. But I'm happy to answer any questions, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. I think there was a lot of concern about remote meetings a couple of years back when they started, but I think there's very much a general acceptance now, which is proved by how full the room is there and how many people are on screen. So I think we've all got used to this system, and obviously going out travelling, especially in the sort of weather we're having at the moment, is not exactly an attractive proposition. So for reasons of saving time and other reasons, it's often better to participate remotely. Judith, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, well, I would think that we fulfil all the requirements, and Caerphilly County Borough Council is pretty good on this score. But I'm a bit, I mean, are they asking us to comment on what other councils do? Because that doesn't seem to be quite right to me. I mean, I don't want to decree that somewhere like, I don't know, a small authority that doesn't live stream all their meetings has to. I don't really feel, that would be appropriate.
Chair, if I can come in, I think the suggestion with Welsh Government is to sort of get a uniform approach across Wales, because obviously at the moment councils can adopt different approaches in terms of live streaming their meetings. And it's obviously, meetings are live streamed. It gives members of the public more access to the democratic process. They can see it in real time, from their homes. They can attend the meetings also. But it makes the democracy process more accessible, really. The consultation does ask whether or not there should be a duty imposed upon the National Parks and the Fire and Rescue Authorities. But I appreciate this council may not necessarily have a view on those particular proposals. So it's not asking anybody to particularly comment on other councils. It was just trying to get a uniform approach across Wales in effect.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that the only duty is for the for full council. But as far as the second bullet point, national parks and fire and rescue authorities are very important public bodies, and it seems logical that the same duty should fall on them as falls on the principal councils to broadcast meetings. I don't know if anybody wanted to comment on that one. You've been on there for a long time, Judah, on the fire. Oh, Adrian, sorry, you've got your hand up.
Yeah. Well, with that, Chair, I for the fire authority, having their meetings filmed is a bit of a joke, really. We were unceremonially, unfairly dismissed from the fire authority, and the commissioners are still in place now with no accountability. We are still paying our levy to them, so I would like to see what the commissioners are doing. So if they could live stream that would be very interesting, because I don't think they're doing very much. They're milking it, to be honest.
I think that's a fair point. I think all the members across Wales have been dismissed at the moment, haven't they?
Yeah.
So really, it's a bit ironic that they're making that recommendation when there's no democratic accountability within any of the fire services at the moment.
They're on £500 a day from me.
Yeah, slightly more than the councillors get then.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's I think we could make that point back to the authors of this report that there should be democratic accountability, and we would like the democratic representation back as well. You know, it's are you happy to do that, committee?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's saying no. If we could make that point, then Lisa, please.
Yeah, we can do that, Chair. On balance, members.
Yeah. I know we're not being asked specifically about community councils, but I think there is a legal duty on community councils to make the meetings available remotely as well, isn't there? But is that correct?
I think it's part of some future planning, Chair. I don't think there's anything coming forward at the moment, but I know it's a consideration for community councils to start live streaming at some point in time. It's definitely something that's come up in different forums and different discussion groups that they'd like to see town and community councils embrace live streaming.
Yeah, I know it's going off the point a bit, but I think a lot of them would maybe struggle. But there we are. The other bullet point on here is whether there should be a retention period for recording.
Could I just come back to the...
Yeah, sorry, Judah.
Lisa, do we get an annual report from the South Wales Fire and Rescue Service now?
Not that I've seen. No, not that I've seen.
Could you make investigations on that? Because that's important, as already said. They got a committee of four members who are running the fire authority. I chaired that for 10 years, and we always had reports going back to the authorities. And I've always made a point. When they made redundant the 24 members, we as a council are still funding it. And we're doing it to, I think, over £11 million a year. The government have virtually taken it, Welsh government have taken it over, and they should be funding it, not us.
Well, another point is that we used to have the chief fire officer. I think, was it an annual basis?
Yes, and we used to have Welsh, as it happened, the Welsh audit every year coming in to assess us. But I don't want to go too much into it. As you appreciate, we are not very happy as former members of the fire authority what they've done.
But I think at very least we should expect the chief fire officer to come to full council and.
Well, that's another question.
And that would obviously apply to the chief constable and the PCC as well. I know, for example, the Police and Crime Commissioner went to Monmouthshire. I think it was last week.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen a PCC for quite a long time. So it's,
Well, that's the thing, Mr. Chair, when you consider we're over £11 million a year, you imagine what we could use with £11 million a year? No.
Okay, so I don't know, hopefully those points have been noted. Yeah, sorry, the other one was a retention period for recordings. It seems sensible to keep those recordings. Certainly, I don't know, what's the reasonable period? Maybe a year or two?
In terms of minutes, Chair, this is a 6-year period.
Oh, sorry, I missed that one. Sorry. Yeah, well, 6 years is, well.
Come on, Chairman, do your own work.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor Davis, I missed that one. It just proves pressure of time. You can't do everything.
Oh, I feel sorry for you.
I feel sorry for myself sometimes. Yeah, no, we're all happy with 6 years, folks. Now I've been corrected.
Apologies, Chair. In terms of retention periods, for councils who use a third-party provider, their retention periods would probably be contracted by the third-party provider. They'd have to set the retention period with them. Councils that use YouTube, they're there forever. So you could set your retention period at whatever level you like. They're there, they're accessible. But I think for certain councils, they'd have to negotiate a retention period for their live stream recordings, and it would probably come with an excess charge, depending on the length of the retention period.
It'll last so long that YouTube will probably be replaced by something else by that time. Carl, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, I think Emma might have answered it then, because the retention period for me, I was going to ask the question, is it, hypothetically, £10 for a year, £20 for 2 years, does it escalate up? And what kind of costings are we going to pay for the longer period of time of keeping it?
In terms of this authority, we use YouTube, so there is no cost implications in terms of retention. For local authorities, as I've said, that they have a third-party provider, the charge for the retention period would be set through the procurement and contract stage of them procuring the provision of that webcast provider. I think our previous provider, the retention period was 18 months. If you wanted it any longer than that, then there would be an additional charge.
Okay, so we happy with that, Carl?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I think it's, if we had a third party and we was going to pay it for years and years and years, what is the point of keeping hold of something that could be outdated, should we say? But yeah, thanks for the reply. Cheers, Emma.
No problem.
Okay. I think there's one comment on the in the chat that Mark has put on about the pre-meetings, and obviously pre-meeting on the same day or the previous day is not an additional meeting, but I think there's probably a general agreement that having the pre-meeting on the same day is far more convenient, because it may well, if it's on the previous day, it may well disrupt a schedule on another day that people would rather not go in. And I think, I don't know whether people agree, but having these meetings on the previous day may well actually reduce the attendance in pre-meetings. I don't know if anyone's got any thoughts on that.
Chair, if I can possibly come back in, I mean, what we are suggesting here is a trial to see whether or not a pre-meeting on the day before does help members' preparation. After a certain number of pre-meetings on the day before, which are applying to the 2 scrutiny committees, if members don't feel they're beneficial, then we'll review. They can either go back to the day before, or if members decide they don't deem a pre-meeting at all beneficial, we can review that with members and come to a consensus of opinion on how the best way to operate a pre-meeting is. It is considered good practice to have a pre-meeting in order to prepare for the scrutiny committee, but I think what we're suggesting at the moment is a trial only, given that one of the concerns raised by Audit Wales and by members was preparation. So it's just to see whether that does improve and give value to members in terms of their meeting preparation. I know we're going a little back over ground already discussed, but you know, it is a trial.
Okay, so it's a trial. We'll have to see how it goes. I mean, I find pre-meetings beneficial generally, and I suppose the other people who go to them will do the same. Carl, you wanted to come back?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. For me, there's no shame in doing trials, and I get that. But when, like we talked earlier, I mean, I work. I'm also a convener. You balance your diary around your meetings as best that you can. To put another one in means you're doing a lot more balancing, if you get my point. But I said there's no shame in trials. But personally, for me, in the diary, that's your meeting that day. That's you have your pre-trial, you know, and then the next day you can pencil something else in. You're just adding to it for a working councillor, I think. But that's just my point of view. But like I say, there's no shame in a trial.
Okay, thanks, Carl. Tudor?
Can I just clarify with Emma, of all the committees, I know the Housing and Environment, they have their meeting at 5:30. Are all meetings having it on scrutiny at 5:30 and other meetings? Because we're going on the point of raised already. Some of the members find it hard to get to meetings at 5 o'clock.
All three scrutiny committees are at 5:30. Meetings are held prior to that. Yeah.
The council's still 5 o'clock, isn't it? And other committees.
5 o'clock. Joint scrutiny is at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's slightly different in the format and the procedures for those meetings, due to the number of members involved and the topics for discussion. Holding a pre-meeting for all 69 members of council would be a mammoth task. Yes, scrutinies are at 5:30.
No, it's on. It's off at the moment. I'm going to speak now.
Yeah, so I mean, as I've said before, we appreciate, you know, that there are numerous demands on your time. Do try and schedule things as conveniently as we possibly can. We try not to put too much in on Mondays. We try not to put too much in on Fridays, so that members have that time, that capacity for constituency work, public work, for caring responsibilities. We'll work around members as best we can, while still being conducive to business.
Thank
You've
you.
avoided Sundays as well, Emma. But sorry, sir. Andrew, you had your hand up, I think.
Yeah, it's not a comment about this. Chair, I just want to ask you a question. Is this a non-political meeting?
It's supposed to be, yes.
Right. Can I refer to you to the comment that Councillor Gregg
I don't think it was appropriate, Andrew.
It was not appropriate, and I think Councillor Eade needs to apologise to the committee and yourself.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't an appropriate comment. I will make it I'll make it known to him that that was discussed. Right, anyone else?
Yeah,
If not, right, so we need to vote on this one, I believe.
Yeah, if members are happy to move that I write and provide all the comments this evening to Welsh Government, Chair, and second.
Move.
Yeah. Okay, seconder, please.
Second.
Okay, so your voting slip should be on the screen. And again, we've got, I think, probably 2 abstentions and the rest. So it's 88% in favour and 13% abstention. Okay, everyone. So I believe that draws the meeting to a conclusion. Could I thank everyone for your attendance and your contributions? I declare the meeting closed, and you can now go out and enjoy yourselves, whatever you want to do. And if we can stop the recording. Okay,